Hello everyone, Shaman here. Today I'm showing you how to set up remote access, or aka VPN, on the Sophos UTM. So the Sophos UTM, as with many UTM devices, offers many different types of VPN styles. So you have SSL, point-to-point tunneling protocol, layer 2 tunneling protocol over IPSec, and IPSec. Now, the differences between each one of these VPN protocols lie within how they're encrypted and their authentication methods and stuff like that. So I'll just do a brief overview of a couple of them. So the most widely used one that is not for corporate and stuff, like your home and small business and stuff like that, would be point-to-point tunneling protocol. It's a widely used protocol, VPN protocol, that relies on username and password, and the authentication and encryption part. It relies on MS-CHAP version 2, as well as MPPE. So the issue with point-to-point tunneling protocol is that it is the weakest of the VPN technologies. This is because MS-CHAP version 2 has been around since, I believe, Windows like 98, and it has been cracked. So the hash used for encryption itself has been hacked, and so we can hack the username and password. But some people choose to still use it because even the attack that even to exploit it is still, you would still need to perform some sort of man in the middle attack or something like that. So but some people still use it regardless because of just of its ease of use. Another thing that a lot of people like point-to-point tunneling protocol is that most devices support it out of box without installing, having to deal with certificates or additional setups or anything like that, like you would for IPSec. So, in order to enable point-to-point tunneling protocol on Sophos, at least, you would just hit the switch to enable PPTP. I already had it configured testing, but essentially all you do is figure out how you're going to authenticate. So I just have local, and then you have a user. So in order to add users, you click the browse, and then there's all your users here. Okay, even if you've created some groups, you can just drag the group over. Okay, now you'll need to assign, now you have to figure out how you're going to assign IPs. So you can do an either an IP address pool or a DHCP server. Okay, so what I do is you have the IP address pool, and then for the pool network, you hit browse, and there'll be some predefined networks here. So for instance, the VPN pool for point-to-point tunneling protocol. So one thing you need to consider here, if you're setting this up for your home or small business, and you have like 5 people that that are remote, then you can just you can, if you want, just move this over, like the pool network, make it the LAN pool, because you have such a small amount of remote users, up until 5, maybe 10 users. You may not want an entire VPN pool just for them, just for the extra overhead. The extra administrative thing of tracking down what each pool is used for. But it's totally up to you. If you do want a pool specifically for, your VPN users, all you would do is move over either the PPTP pool and use the one that is predefined. So they have the predefined network 10.242.1.0, or you can create your own. So you hit the plus, create new, and then create the network that you want. So just for argument's sake, I'm just going to leave this to internal. Okay. Now, once you've done that, if you have selected a different pool for VPN, what you need to start doing is going into your network protection and then firewall, and you'll need to edit some of these rules. So for instance, as you can see, the wizard created, or when you first install, the wizard creates a rule for web surfing and FTP, but it only allows the internal network to exit the internet. So now this is where you kind of have to figure out, will your VPN users be exiting out your connection to go onto the VPN, or are you going to have something like a split tunnel? Split tunnel would be if my network is destined to anything other than the LAN or the VPN networks that I'm VPN'd into. For instance, if I go to Google, I'm not going to go to Google through the VPN out to the head office. I'm just going to use the local internet connection. Or do you want your end users, the people who are on VPN, to be governed by the corporate LAN, the corporate internet policy? So if someone's going onto a site that is not work related and they're on a work laptop, you may want that all the traffic to be tunneled to go to your firewall to filter out what's good and what's bad. So in that's the case, if they are using the internet at the head office, you will have to have another rule, or you can just add this. You'll have to add the pool that you've created. So in this case, PPTP, you add that, and now they'll be able to exit out the firewall. They won't be blocked. Okay, so now when you are using the VPN, if you are troubleshooting and having some problems, like all the other modules in Sophos, you click Open Live Log, and it'll tell you any error messages that may or may not come up. Okay, so now with L2TP over IPSec, so this is a bit more involved. So L2TP over IPSec has an additional security option. So you have the standard username and password, but you have a pre-shared key. Okay, so you can either do a pre-shared key or a certificate. Okay, so some people do the pre-shared. Well, actually, from what I've seen, most people do the pre-shared key, but you can do a certificate. Okay, and so if you have a specific certificate that you've imported, let's say this one, the end users will need the certificate also to connect. So this is part of the reason why people use the pre-shared key, especially home users, small businesses, because certificates can be expensive. It depends on what your IT budget is. And then, so once you've created the pre-shared key, like before, you have the option to assign an IP address pool. Okay, and then there is one as well for the L2TP. And then you just drag that, so you just drag that, and then that is what you'll be using as your IP address pool. And for troubleshooting, of course, you got Open Live Log. Okay. Oh, and sorry, if you go to iOS devices, you have an option to make a VPN profile for iOS devices, and that's the same as well for PPTP. There's the iOS device. Okay. If you go over for point-to-point or for L2TP, you have the option for your encryption strength. Okay, so obviously for PPTP, the strongest it has is 128 bits. So you just enable 128 bit, and then you have the option for debugging mode. L2TP over IPSec, you'll just have the option for debug mode. Okay. Moving on to IPSec, we'll do this quickly here. IPSec is a lot more involved. So to enable IPSec, you just create a access role. Okay. Now the local networks. So local networks are the networks that for the VPN. So we'll just hit internal. That's where this is not the IP pool. This is the networks that the VPN is allowed to access. Okay, because if you see the virtual IP pool, there's the IPSec VPN pool that's automatically assigned. Now, you have the option for encryption. Okay. And then the authentication type. So the authentication type is either pre-shared key or the certificate. 99% of the time, you have a certificate that you have to import. That's normally how people set it up. And then you have the allowed users. So you just drag your allowed users or your group. Okay. You have an option here to automatically create a firewall rule. Okay. And then hit save. Okay. Okay, and now that will enable the it. Now, if you go over to policies, you have certain options. So you have the option for your IKE authentication algorithm, your encryption algorithm, and all that stuff that relates to IPSec. Okay. So that enables that's for your policies. Over to advanced, you have options for the local cert. Okay. And then some options here. So dead peer detection is when, so IPSec has nothing by default in it that detects if someone has gone offline. There's normally a huge timer or something like that. So by clicking dead peer detection, when one client goes offline, this will detect that client has gone offline and terminate the connection. Okay, NAT traversal. So NAT traversal, with NAT and VPNs, VPN and NAT sometimes don't get along, and so you'll have to enable NAT traversal, which has a keep alive that keeps the NAT connection open so the VPN works. Okay. So that's IPSec, and the last couple of options are you have a HTML5 VPN portal. So pretty much instead of having a client and everything like that, you can create a portal that someone can connect to the VPN via a website. And you have options specific for the Cisco AnyConnect VPN client. Okay. One last option here is the certificate management. This is where you can import your certificate or create your certificates. Okay, so just hit new certificate and you create your certificate for a particular user. Each user has a certificate that's made for them. Okay, and then you have the option to download the certificate. Okay, then you have an option to an option for the revocation list, and then over to advanced. Okay, so I hope this video has been informative for you. If you have any questions or comments about VPN, setting up VPNs on the Sophos UTM or any one of my other videos, please leave them in the comment section below. You can visit my website, seanmancini.com, or email me anytime, seanmancini2010@gmail.com. Thank you.